Okay, so in this video we'll be looking at demand. Demand is the ability and willingness to buy a particular good at a given price at a given moment in time. Just because kind of the verb portrays, if I demand something, I want something, I buy something. And so this is a demand curve, which is something you'll become familiar with in the economics course. It has price on the y-axis and quantity on the x-axis. And we can have movements along this curve whereby if we move from point A to B, then quantity increases from QA to QB as price falls from PA to PB. So quantity is increasing, price is decreasing, and so there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. And as a demand curve shifts, or not so shifts, but moves along from A to B, we call this an extension in demand. Whereas if it moved from B to A, we call this a contraction. And this movement along occurs only when there's a change in price. So for example, say this is a specific brand of tea. Well, if the price of this tea fell, we would move from A to B because, well, now with a given level of income, a consumer can buy more boxes of this tea. But also consumers may switch from more expensive substitutes to this cheaper tea. And so we get a higher quantity of tea at a lower price. However, there can also be shifts in demand. For example, we have the demand curve D moving to D1. And this is due to factors not involving price. So for example, complements. If the price of a complement falls, so for example, video games and consoles, if the price of consoles falls, more people are going to have consoles, so more people are going to have video games. And this causes a shift outwards in the market for video games because the price of video games hasn't fallen itself, but the price of consoles, its complement has. Additionally, advertising. If you've got good advertising for a specific product, more people are going to know about it, so they're going to demand more, a factor not related to price. There's also press, similar to advertising. If you've got good press, it brings more attention to the product. Fashion, you remember fidget spinners back in the day, that was kind of a trend, and so demand shifted outwards. Additionally, an increase in the population, so you've got a spike in inwards immigration. We've got more people in a specific place, more people demanding a certain good. I think one thing that is important to note is that the demand curve slopes downwards, and this is due to diminishing marginal utility, which means that the additional utility gained for each additional unit consumed increases at a decreasing rate. So if we look at this utility graph here, initially with each unit consumed, utility is increasing by a large amount. However, as we get more as we get more quantity of good, then we have less additional utility gained. And this explains why the demand curve slopes downwards, because for unit 1, the price is 10, and we're willing to pay a lot more for that first unit because it's going to satisfy us more. For example, when we have the first bite of pizza, we're most satiated and most happy. However, as we get to, slice 10, we're less happy, we're willing to pay less for that final slice, and so say this is price 3. And this is a basic concept of demand, so reasons for moving along, reasons for shifts in the demand curve, and kind of the rationale regarding why the demand curve slopes downwards.